Let's talk about worry. I used to worry a lot and I don't anymore. This is something that I help clients with, and it makes a really big difference to their lives, just as it has for me. So, today I want to talk to you about how to stop worrying so that you can benefit from this as well. I've broken it down into 3 steps. So, step one is we have to really understand that worrying isn't useful at all, ever. My husband used to say to me, like people do, there's no use worrying. And I would always respond, I'm not doing it because it's useful. Because it just didn't occur to me that it was something that I couldn't do. I didn't think it was something I could stop, but it is. And the first step to stopping worrying is really recognizing and understanding that my husband was right just on this one thing. There is no use worrying. But this is important because the reason that we worry is because part of our brain thinks that it is useful. Our brain thinks that if it predicts all the things that could go wrong and imagines the worst case scenario, that we'll be able to prevent it. So our brain thinks that if we worry about all the horrible things that might happen to us and the things that might happen to our loved ones, we'll somehow be able to guard against them. And say you're working on a project in your job or your business, your brain thinks that if it worries about all of the things that might not get done on time, or you might forget about, or might not get done well enough, and it sees how the project could be unsuccessful, that you'll be able to prevent those things from happening. Or you at least won't be surprised or disappointed when they do happen. But I want you to think about what's actually happening when you're feeling worried and you're worrying. Usually, we're imagining that worst case scenario and we're focusing on that, putting all of our attention there, maybe talking about that, maybe Googling things about that. And we're spinning in our thoughts, spinning in the worry. We're not usually taking action towards the outcome that we actually want. So if we stick with the example of the work project, when we're in the worry and we're thinking about the things we might forget or that might not get done well enough or that might not get done on time, and we're putting all of our attention there, we're not taking purposeful action towards the successful project outcome that we want. And always, when we're worrying, we're missing out on the present because in our mind, we're in that future imagined disaster land rather than in what's actually happening right now. So we might be thinking about all of the things that might go wrong and the project being a disaster and all the horrible things that might happen to us and to our loved ones rather than connecting with them, spending time with them and being with them right now. So worrying is never useful. Part of our brain thinks that it is. And the first step to stopping is just really recognizing and understanding that that part of our brain, that part of our thinking is wrong. And then step two is to make a decision to stop, to decide that worrying isn't useful and it's something that you're going to stop doing. That is something that is available to you. You get to do that. You get to decide that worrying isn't something that you want to do. And I want to invite you to make that decision right now while you're watching this video. And something that can really support this is just thinking a little bit about how you want to talk about and think about yourself when it comes to worry. Because we'll often refer to ourselves as worriers. We'll say, oh, I'm a worrier, I always worry. So rather than it being something that we feel or something that we do, worry becomes an identity. It's who we are, it's what we are. I have a client who's done this work really successfully, and she made the decision to stop worrying. And at the same time, she made the decision to start describing herself in a different way. So from that session that we had, from that moment, she just started talking about herself as someone who doesn't worry. She started thinking about herself as someone who doesn't worry. She would just say to people, oh, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not a worrier. I don't worry. And that might be something that's available to you right now, to just start doing that from today, right now. Or if it isn't, it might be a smaller, more simple shift from I'm a worrier to I am someone who sometimes worries and I've decided to stop. And then step 3, really simply, is the practice of noticing every time that worry comes up and reminding yourself that it isn't useful and that you've decided to stop. This can really change your life. Worrying takes up so much time and so much energy. And when we stop it, it creates so much space for other things in our lives. So put this into action. It's those 3 simple steps: understanding that worrying isn't useful, deciding to stop, and then reminding yourself of your decision every time your brain wants to take you to worry. And if you have questions or you want some support with this, please do get in touch with me.